If you look around my garden, it's easy to see that vines are one of my favorite ways to add beauty and visual impact to your garden. But did you know that there are 10 vines that grow really well started from seeds? That for the price of a package of seeds, you can have a beautiful vine that will cover a trellis, add shade and beauty to your garden. And in today's video, I'm going to share my 10 favorite vines that grow really well started from seeds. And the best part, these vines also grow well in containers. If we haven't met before, my name's Angela from Growing in the Garden, and I love to share garden inspiration and helpful tips so you can be successful in your own garden. Let's start with the vine I'm standing next to right now, Love in a Puff vine. It's also called balloon vine or heartseat vine. The flowers develop into this beautiful pod that looks almost like a tomatillo, and inside is a seed that has a perfectly painted heart on each one. This is a simple to care for annual vine. I started the seeds indoors, but you can also start them outside. It is sensitive to frost, so when we had a frost event, I covered it with burlap and it came through just fine. If you live in a cold winter climate, you're going to want to plant this one in the spring. Start seeds indoors 8 to 10 weeks before the last frost. Here in Arizona, I start Love in a Puff seeds indoors during the summer and then plant outside in the fall. And then it will bloom all through the cooler months. Space plants about a foot apart, and Love in a Puff can grow up to 10 feet tall. It's easy to save seeds from Love in a Puff. Leave the lanterns on the plant until they begin to darken, and then open it up and you'll find the seeds inside. If the seeds are green, that means you picked them a little too early. Leave them on a little bit longer until they get nice and dark and have that distinctive heart on them. The next vine we're going to talk about is Canary Creeper vine. This is a cousin of Nasturtium, which is one of my favorite cool season flowers. It's a native of South America, and the flowers resemble the feather wings of a canary. Although it's generally grown as an annual, Canary Creeper vine can also be grown as a perennial in warmer zones. It can grow up to 12 feet in length each year. The flowers, leaves, and fruit are edible, and like its cousin Nasturtium, have the same peppery taste. Plant Canary Creeper when the soil has warmed to about 70 degrees. Plant 1 to 2 seeds every 3 to 4 feet. Here in the low desert, I started Canary Creeper vine from seeds directly in the garden planted in December. It quickly covered my 8-foot trellis and bloomed until temperatures began to climb in early summer, and then the vine began to die back. It's very easy to save seeds from this vine. Watch as the flowers form into seeds, and when the seeds turn brown, they are ready to save. Purple Hyacinth bean vine is another vine that grows easily from seed. This is a beautiful addition to a garden. Purple Hyacinth bean vine is grown as a perennial in zones 10 and 11, but typically grown as an annual in cooler climates. Plant when temperatures warm in the spring and nights are above 50 degrees. Plant the seeds 1 inch deep and 6 inches apart. In cooler climates, start seeds indoors a few weeks before planting, but don't let plants get too large before planting outside. Here in the low desert, I plant Purple Hyacinth bean from March through the beginning of May. This vine is really low maintenance. Give it a sunny spot and watch out. It will climb everything in its path and twist. You may want to direct those vines to the trellis and help them climb. Vines can climb up to 16 feet in just a few months. The vine will grow quickly, but the flowers often wait until midsummer to appear. The sprays of blooms are beautiful in cut flower arrangements or left to enjoy in your garden. The flower clusters resemble pea blossoms and are followed by distinctive leathery-looking purple pods. You'll know when the seeds are ready to harvest when that pod changes from bright purple to silvery purple. Black-eyed Susan vine is another favorite vine. It's simple to grow from seeds and is covered with beautiful flowers. This fast-growing tender perennial in zones 10 and 11 is usually grown as a warm season annual in zones 2 to 9. It does best in bright sunny locations and can be used as a ground cover or grown up a trellis. Start seeds indoors 6 to 8 weeks before your last spring frost. In mild winter areas, start seeds directly in the soil in early spring. Plant seeds or transplants 12 to 18 inches apart, and it will grow 6 to 10 feet tall and 1 to 2 feet wide. Avoid reflected heat in hot summer areas. The beautiful yellow flowers are a favorite of mine. I love growing this plant in containers with a little trellis to add visual interest to my garden. The next vine that grows well from seed is passion flower or passiflora. These beautiful vines have elaborate flowers that you have to see to believe. One of my favorite parts about this vine is that it is a host plant for Gulf fritillary butterflies. That means you may have to sacrifice some of the beautiful leaves, but in return, you get Gulf fritillary butterflies dancing around your garden all season long. It's best to soak the seeds for 24 hours and then direct sow or start indoors prior to planting in the spring or the fall. It's important for them to be in the ground in winter before it blooms. Plant seeds or transplants 5 feet apart, and it will grow from 15 to 30 feet tall. Passion flower vine grows best in full sun. Provide a trellis and water regularly until established. It blooms from summer to fall. Another vine that grows from seed is morning glory vine. Now you have to be a little bit careful with this one here in Arizona. There are several varieties of morning glory that are illegal to grow here. But there are some native varieties that are not considered illegal, but they are considered invasive. So be careful where you plant and be an informed gardener when you're growing morning glory. If it's not considered invasive in your area, morning glory vines are really easy to grow and add lots of beauty and visual interest to your garden. Plant seeds directly in the garden once soil temperatures are 65 degrees or above. Morning glory grows in full sun or partial shade. They thrive in average to poor soil where they'll quickly climb trellises or fences. Plant seeds 8 to 12 inches apart, and they'll grow 15 feet tall. Morning glories begin to flower after the summer solstice when daylight gets shorter and continues through frost. Each flower only lasts a day. It opens in the morning and closes in the evening. Another one of my favorite vines are sweet peas. Not the peas you eat, but the flowers that you enjoy. The smell of sweet peas is like nothing else. Sweet peas prefer cool soil and bloom best before the weather gets hot. In zone 7 and colder, start seeds indoors and transplant as soon as the soil is dry enough to work in. Don't wait until after the last frost. In mild winter areas, plant in the fall from October through January. Choose a location in full sun, but if your summers are very hot, choose a location that gets morning sun and some afternoon shade to help the blooms last longer. Most sweet peas grow to heights of 8 to 10 feet. If you leave blooms on the plant, those blooms will develop into seed pods and slow down production on your plant. So if you want to keep those blooms coming, keep cutting the blooms. Another vine that grows easily from seed is Malabar spinach. The best part about Malabar spinach is it loves hot weather and it's completely edible. In hot summer areas, Malabar spinach is considered a summer spinach alternative. Malabar spinach is planted in the spring and harvested through the fall. There are red and white varieties. Wait to plant this heat-loving vine until the soil warms up. Here in the low desert, plant from March through May. Malabar spinach is a tropical plant and does best with regular moisture. It does not like to dry out. Harvest the leaves at any point during the growing season. I like to eat the young leaves for the best flavor. Malabar spinach can be a little bit slimy, so using vinegar in its preparation helps to cut back on this. At the end of the season, you'll see the blooms develop and they turn into seeds. And again, it's really easy to save the seeds from Malabar spinach. Another favorite vine to grow is Cardinal Climber vine. This vine is a member of the morning glory family. The beautiful red tubular flowers and fern-like leaves quickly climb a trellis. Choose a location with full to partial sun, tolerates poor or average soil. If the soil is too rich, you're going to have a lot of vines and not as many flowers. It's often grown as a cool season annual vine in zones 2 through 11. Direct sow after danger of frost is past. Plant 1 to 2 seeds every 6 to 12 inches, and this vine will grow 8 to 10 feet tall. Growing Cardinal Climber vine couldn't be easier. You don't need to fertilize or deadhead. Just enjoy the beautiful vines. The last vine that I love to grow that grows well from seed is nasturtiums. Nasturtiums have been a garden staple in my garden from the beginning. There are different varieties of nasturtium. There are mounding varieties and also trailing varieties. Nasturtium seeds are easy to handle. They're nice and big. They grow really well started from seed directly in the garden, but you can also start them indoors if you prefer. Nasturtiums are frost sensitive, so if we get a freeze, you need to cover them, or if you live in a cold winter area, you're going to want to wait until after danger of frost is past. For us here in Arizona, they're definitely a cool season flower that grows through our winter months. One of my favorite things about growing nasturtium is the abundance of seeds that you get each year. So each flower is going to develop into several seeds. Pick up those seeds at the end of the season to prevent unwanted seedlings. The leaves, flowers, and seeds of nasturtium are all edible. Nasturtiums also make an excellent companion plant. Nasturtiums help repel squash bugs, whiteflies, and borers. Tomatoes, radishes, and squash and fruit trees benefit from nasturtiums planted nearby. I hope you've enjoyed learning about 10 of my favorite vines that grow well from seed. Let me know in the comments some of your favorite vines that you love to grow. Thank you so much for watching.